What's up YouTube? I'm Vaughn and this is the Gear channel where we discuss collectibles, hobbies, competitive games from tabletop to video games. And today we are discussing something that many of you guys has been asking me to do, and that is explain the battle phase. Now, a friendly reminder to definitely like and subscribe, and especially subscribe if you guys want to enter in our amazing giveaway. So first off, what is the battle phase exactly? So the battle phase contains 3 sub-steps, which is the start step, the battle step, and the end step. Now, one thing to keep in mind when it involves with phases and sub-step, you always need permission from your opponent to move on to the next phase or sub-step. And a lot of these phases and sub-step could have multiple separate chain links within them. Now, for the start step, it's pretty much like the start of the battle phase. And it's very similar to the standby phase. So the turn players have 2 options, either activate a card or effect or pass priority. Now, if the opponent chooses not to activate anything, it moves to the start of the battle step. So in the battle step, the turn player now has 3 options, which is activate a card or effect, declare an attack, or pass priority. And it's very similar to the main phase, with the turn player having the 3 options of activating an effect or a card, summoning or setting a card, or passing priority. So in the battle step, the turn player could choose to declare an attack, activate a card or effect, or pass priority. Now, if they choose to declare an attack, then the opponent has priority to respond to the attack declaration. Now, for the example, we're going to go towards declaring an attack towards another monster. So first off, once the attack declaration has passed, because if our opponent chooses not to activate anything, it doesn't go straight to the damage step. There's actually an open game state window before the contact with the monster and even the damage calculation. So at this open game state, and this is actually something that a lot of players and judges are not really too aware of, but in this open game state, you can actually play multiple of cards like Compulse. So even though your opponent doesn't chain anything to the attack declaration, he could choose to activate something now once the attack declaration has passed. But there are actually rules to this, is that you cannot play cards like Mirror Force or Magic Cylinder at this game point because the attack declaration has already passed, and those cards specifically has to be response towards attack declarations. Now, once this open game state has passed, then we go to the actual contact, where it's the battle of the monster, where we determine the positioning. So if the monster is set, it will be flip face up, and it determines of which monsters are in attack position, which one are in defense position. But once that is established, then it goes to straight into the damage step. Now, the damage step has also 3 sub-steps, which is start of the damage step, damage calculation, and end of the damage step, in that exact order. Now, start of the damage step, there's a few cards that we could play, and there's definitely a lot of cards that we cannot play in this sub-step. Now, majority, the turn player has the priority again to activate a card or effect or pass priority. Now, at the start of the damage step, cards that alter attack and defense can be activated at this point. And any flip effects that do not apply with attack altering or defense is moved and postponed towards the end of the damage step. Now, other cards with higher spell speed can be activated and respond to these type of cards, like counter traps, or cards that specifically negate the activation can be responded towards these type of cards that alter the attack and defense. Now, flip effects, some of you might be a bit confused, but best example is like Slate Warrior. So if Slate Warrior was flip face up, the effect will activate at the start of the damage step because it involves altering attack and defense. But a monster like Man-Eater Bug will be postponed towards the end of the damage step. Now, these sub-steps does not mean that you have to chain every card with one another. You can have multiple separate chain links as well. So example, if your opponent decides to play Forbidden Droplet and for cost decides to send a monster, that does not mean that you are stuck and it moves straight towards the damage calculation. You could actually have Forbidden Droplet, resolve, start a new chain link, and activate your Honest. Because in these sub-step, it's pretty much like a open game state, so everyone could just activate cards and chain in these sub-steps, and it doesn't have to do with anything about resolution or anything like that. It's an open game state, so we could start new chains as many times as you want. Now, with your opponent's permission, if you are passing priority and he chooses not to do anything, you guys can move towards the damage calculation, which is quite simple. You cannot activate pretty much anything except for cards that specifically has to do with damage calculation. Now, cards that have to do with damage calculation is not really too much. It's Dustspot 4 and Sky Striker Hayate. Now, you can still play higher spell speed in response towards these cards' activation, but there's still not many cards that could be played at this period of time. Now, the whole focus of the damage calculation is to calculate the attacks, the defense, and even life points, and also the destruction of the monster. Now, if the monster has any trigger effects because of the destruction, it will be postponed as well towards the end of the damage step, where it brings us now towards the end of the damage step, where all the effects that was postponed at the start of the damage step, the damage calculation, will now be applied at the end of the damage step. Now, keep in mind also for the end of the damage step that you could have multiple separate chain links at the end of the damage step. So example, let's take Omni. When one of your monsters is destroyed, you could special summon it, and it has a second effect. When special summon, you could add a card. Now, both effects are activating at the end of the damage step, because just because one effect resolves, that does not mean that it moves towards the next sub-step or changes phases. You still have to resolve it at that sub-step. So Omni's effect to special summon himself and do a search will all happen at the end of the damage step. Now, for flip effects that are postponed, the monster will be in the graveyard when the effect is activated. Just a physical copy, but the effect that was applied will be considered still on the field. So if you have a card like Skill Drain on the field, it will still negate Man-Eater Bug even though the physical copy is in the graveyard at the point of the activation. Then now that brings us till the next step, which is quite simple, the battle step. Because just because the end of the damage step is finished, it goes back towards the turn player choosing the three options again, which is declare an attack, activate a card or effect, or pass priority. And this repeats constantly during the battle step. They declare an attack, goes towards the damage step, finish the damage step, gets the priority now, because the part that most people think would be like the resolution part or an open game state, where it actually be the end of the damage step. But when you're dealing with cards like Weather Washer and multiple prankkids or multiple Ancient Gear monsters, that open window that you were supposed to activate your cards at the end of the damage step won't be able to activate because of these monsters' effects. And that's why there's no open window to actually activate cards when they have multiple of these monsters declaring an attack. Now, if the turn player chooses to pass the priority and the opponent chooses not to activate anything, it goes to the next sub-step, which is the end of the battle phase, so the end step. Now, the end step, there's not many cards that have to do with the activation on it, so the best example is probably like Evenly Matched. Now, this does not mean that you can only play cards that have to do with the end of the battle phase. You could play any card you like at the end of the battle phase. You just have to remember, though, that when you move towards a sub-step, you cannot go back to the previous sub-step. So if you activate Evenly Matched and you let it resolve and choose to activate emergency teleport, just to summon a monster. You cannot declare an attack because the battle step has already passed, so you're no longer able to declare attack with monsters. And this is a very important information of understanding how the sub-step works within the battle phase. And that's it for the battle phase. I hope this video helped you guys on knowing the battle phase, how all this sub-step works, what is the positioning and the opportunity that you are allowed to actually activate cards and what you are not allowed to activate cards. And if you guys did enjoy today's video, you know what to do. Like and subscribe. And especially subscribe if you guys want to enter in amazing giveaways. And if you guys have more rulings that you guys want to ask and want me to answer, you can definitely comment it down below. And if you want a sneak peek of future products we're planning to review here on the channel, you can follow me on my Instagram, VaughnGear. I'm Vaughn, and this was the Gear Channel.